This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
Yeah, hi. I've enjoyed the show right through to the end of Atlantis. Two questions. First, during the show you used P90s as weapons, but you never used the Zats. And the second one is, what are your thoughts on the new sequel to the original Stargate movie?
You saying that we didn't use the Zats?
Well, you didn't use it constantly.
No.
You relied more on the P90s than the Zats, but the Zats seem more practical.
I refuse to carry a Zat. I will say this. Because they actually put it as a sidearm for us at certain points. And I refused to because I thought it was the dumbest weapon ever invented by sci-fi. First of all, and you have to understand this, you only see it when it's like, shooting out at CGI rays and stuff like that. If you see it in reality, as you see some of the people walking around with the replicas, it's a penis. And the practical effect of this was where you'd squeeze the trigger and the little thing would go, hee. And you probably never even noticed it. Like, it was such a small, subtle effect. You probably never even noticed it. We could have just shaken the damn thing and nobody ever got close to watch it go, hee. So the idea of brandishing a penis at the aliens was not at all appealing to me in the least. And the second part, and I have to say this, and this is why it's the dumbest weapon, one shot stuns, 2 kills, 3 makes it disappear. Now, after you've been stunned, and an hour later you go swimming, and they shoot you one more time, are you stunned again? Or are you dead? Because and after you get stunned 3 times, shouldn't you disappear? What's the delay on that one? I wasn't sure. Because the reason why, and I will have to say this, because none of us were terribly fond of the original concept, the reason why the weapon had this magical ability was because in the episode of which it was discovered, which was the cliffhanger for season 1, we were knocking out all these guards on this spaceship, and all the bodies were lying around. So somebody, I guess, addressed it with saying, well, isn't somebody going to discover these bodies? And the guy went, oh. Well, yeah, 3 shots makes it disappear.
That was the director, right?
Yeah, and there's like sometimes the Zat could do whatever it wanted. Like in 1969, O'Neill shoots a padlock and the padlock like disappears or whatever it is, or breaks open, and you're like, when can the Zat do that? Shouldn't the padlock be just stunned?
You are about to embark on a top-secret military mission. Through a doorway of adventure. Over the threshold of time. To the point of no return. Richard Dean Anderson takes adventure to a whole new dimension. You just never know what will be on the other side. Until you get there. gateway to the edge of the universe.
Lovely guests we got on here tonight. Welcoming back, we got movie geek himself, Matt Litwin. We got partner in crime and comic book connoisseur, Gil.
Hello.
Hello. Artwork designer himself, Tim Smith, is back to talk about his love of space operas.
Hello, everyone.
And we got the lovely Sam and Rose from Probing the Wormhole podcast.
Hi.
That sounds kinky.
That's the point.
They definitely have their share of not safe for work humor on there, and it's awesome. You guys do a great job at that. And don't get me wrong, you're not the only ones. There are a bunch of amazing Stargate podcasts. We were going to try and have Pedestrian at Best on at one point. Puri Bernard, who used to be Conan O'Brien's assistant, guest starred on the show. Wormhole Waffles and Get Into Gate do some awesome takes on all the shows, and both you and Stargate are just having your fair share of. It's like, why does everyone love this particular character? They're getting on my nerves. Yeah, so when we do a revisit of a franchise, we just say, hey, we've covered the pros, we've covered the cons, so now it's just us time. Like, why does this show speak to us? What are the moments that just are in our head? And Stargate has its share of just epic battles, some cool ideas, and running gags where you're like, that's just clever. That's great.
Yeah. I like that. I like that Stargate doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, there's so many things about it that are just absurd at times, and it sort of, you sort of all just jump on board and go with it.
It is weird, it's just like, it came from a cult movie that was critically derided, but was great in video sales. Then kind of like all the other ones, like the crime and Western and even sitcoms, like everyone had their favorite. There were people who I met who only saw Universe first when everything was trying to be gritty, like Dark Knight and Battlestar. Mm-hmm. And because Atlantis was syndicated even more than the original show on Fox affiliates, I knew many people who had only seen that but never seen the original show. So it's interesting. Michael Shanks has actually said in many interviews, is like a bunch of great sci-fi blogs, and he's always amazed at how many people know episodes verbatim. And he had to squash rumors. He's like, hey, I like the franchise. I just wanted to take it to the next level. Then it didn't pan out. So then I came back. But it's so funny how he was just like, I don't know how they've introduced this to their kids and everything, but they just kept forwarding the DVDs and Blu-rays around, even though it hadn't been aired on TV for a while. And I did see some fanfare in the late 2010s when El Rey Network, Robert Rodriguez's cable channel, was on the air briefly, and they would do marathons of the first two shows, and they would heavily advertise Richard Dean Anderson, Jason Momoa, and the show that made them even more awesome, and I'm like, okay, awesome. That's one way to say it.
I love that Momoa got to start on Stargate. That's great.
And I kind of forgot about that. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of forgot about that.
I knew he was on it when he was like getting into henchman roles and being in his version of Conan, but then like by the time he was an Aquaman, I was joking. I'm like, well, he always started under the sea fighting evil.
Right.
Like of course he's here. He looks the part.
That's true. He was on Atlantis.
Right. Just going back on it now, it was actually funny. When I was going through this, and back, I kid you not, in 2018, I was revisiting it all, and much like many of these shows, it's like now I have my favorite episodes, my skip list, my episodes to introduce to first timers, and we saw a very hysterical Atlantis one, and my brother's visiting in town. He's like, "That's freaking Aquaman! Oh my god, look at that hair on that dude!" And he's really good with comedy, but it is also wild too how all the characters change based on the setting. Like, kudos to them for recutting the very first episode, because in that, episode, O'Neill's a jackass. He's a sexist, and they recut it all just to make him actually more bearable and make it less convoluted with the plotting. But I mean, even Robert Picardo, it was not only brilliant for them to bring other Star Trek alumni onto the show, but then how he goes from being a government suit who's going, yes, sir, to now I have a conscience, and here's what I stand for. And sure, I'll be the main guy on the show.
Yeah, I think that was him and John Delancey. There's a lot of really great Star Trek actors on Stargate.
And a lot of people didn't realize, that him and Richard Dean Anderson were best friends. They met on a MacGyver episode. Then they had a Western sci-fi, and then pretty much it is like Delancey is like, the minute I see him, I'm like, I know he's going to be a bad guy, much like his Q character, but this is where the show really becomes like X-Files, where they're all.
Yeah, that show was legend.
Yeah.
That
great show. Everybody should check it out. Circle around. Tim, did you get into this, years after your Star Trek love, or was it just kind of just casual?
I think this one for me was one that like I saw the movie originally, like in the 90s, and like I thought it was actually good for what it was, and the effects were good for the time, and
I get it.
I thought it was good, right? And so then like when it came on TV, I think it was a casual like, yeah, like let's check it out. Like full disclosure, like my knowledge of SG-1 is not, I think as deep as some of you here. But definitely like it was a fun show, like it was an adventure show, like it was a new thing every week. And then, like as a guy, right, like I want to see stuff blowing up, I want to see battles, I want to see spaceships, and so there was plenty of that, right? And so that was a fun, and that was a draw. And I feel like it's probably on like syndication or something on like a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoons or something, on like a UPN or something, right? And so it was fun to watch and catch up with. And when you were talking earlier about how this, how it just sort of not goofy, but it just sort of doesn't take itself seriously. And I think a lot of sci-fi like that was just sort of at that time, right, was just sort of strange, right? It was just sort of weird, and it was fine because that was just the time we were in. Like looking back now, it's kind of a little.
It's amazing this even got on the air. Like,
yeah,
a lot of it, the crew was from the '90s, Outer Limits, and same kind of deal. MGM produces for Showtime. Showtime cancels it once they realize, oh, you sold syndication to Fox channels and Sci-Fi Channel. Well, that's costing us subscribers, so we don't want to carry it anymore.
Exactly right. And what's amazing too is like this franchise is like 30 years old or something. Like that's not really that old for it to spawn so many, movies and different shows and so much canon and so much like fan fiction. So that's actually pretty impressive, right?
Oh, and it was kind of all inclusive. Like it wasn't just a who's who of sci-fi stuff. That they would have people from popular comedies and action movies on. Then you got fantasy and horror icons like the late great Julian Sands and Tony Todd later on. I'm like, hey, look. And then, Cancer Man from X-Files was a recurring villain briefly. I'm like, see, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Like, it's not afraid to, like, go into, other genres and sort of pull those people out. And I think a lot of the same audiences are watching that show, or watching those shows. And so I think it's fun for people to say, I know him, he was in that, or we love, what's he going to do in this? Because he was always so, creepy or out there, or whatever the case was. So
absolutely,
I think they did a real good job with that.
Nicole DeBoer, who guest starred on one episode, she's best known as the secondary Dax on DS9. And David Hewlett, who played Rodney, would joke that since they were both in the movie Cube, which was a weird sci-fi horror film, they would often introduce their fans to that. So the third generation who finally was seeing the movie was seeing it because they were at the Stargate panels and giving it out as merchandise. But Rose and Sam, you guys have both had an interesting perspective because you're looking at it with today's eyes. You kind of got into it a little later, but it was more casual. And so what do you take from it now? Just like marathoning it versus, casually catching it?
Yeah, to me, Stargate is kind of timeless. We definitely like to see how the show would be different now. TV has changed so much. Politics have changed. And so like Emancipation and those kinds of episodes that haven't aged well, we like to point that out.
And season 4 had a lot of just very bizarre, like slow motion and cheesy transitions. That is like, okay, I expect better from even shows of this caliber. Come on, don't do that.
Yeah, you're right. You also have technology that was different, and I know that it wasn't like a huge budget show, so we kind of have to deal with the fact that every planet looks like Western Canada. You know, they didn't have these huge
scenery.
CGI budgets and stuff. But I feel like the characters to me were like the best part of the show. You really cared about them.
Yeah.
And that's why I kept watching, was because I really liked these 4 people and what they were doing. And I thought they had great chemistry. And that sort of still endures. I mean, I still really enjoy watching the show, even when as I cringe at some parts.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always going to be moments where you're like, okay, skip.
Yeah.
2/3 of a good episode.
I think it also can be binge watched. I mean, because a lot of the episodes are serialized.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be, you just want to catch an episode of Stargate, and you can catch up fairly well.
Absolutely.
Just like Star Trek.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
And welcome aboard. We also got Todd Simpson, the space opera fan himself also. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, so Matt, so you were just a casual viewer of Stargate as well?
Honestly, I saw these shows like when they were aired, and I actually saw them like as they were coming out. When I started seeing SG-1, that was kind of like a friend had said. It was really like my sci-fi buddy, and he was like, "You got to see it. I can't believe you haven't watched SG-1." And I mean, it was carried so much from the movie, but it was really its own thing. But like, I was really got into it near the end of its run. I mean, near the middle of its run, but it was what actually got me was Atlantis, because it was a different turn on a show. I mean, as far as the chemistry worked, because it wasn't such a like the tight knit kind of the 4 of them kind of just going out to a different situation.
They're all outsiders, strangers in a strange land.
Exactly, and like the fact that Momoa was like at a planet, and there was that basically were like ravaged by Wraith, and they became kind of just sort of joined the gang, because there was like the original. In the core of the group was people who were in the original project who had brought over from Antarctica, but I mean the real color of the show, I think, was the interplay between them and the other folks that were on.
That's a good point, because like Star Trek, you'd have one weird family. X-Files there's the skeptic, and then there's the straight person, kind of like a cop show. And then Stargate is like they all tolerate each other because they're all kind of fascinated by the bizarreness of it all, and at the same time just kind of like, stay out of my way.
and I loved how like McKay was like, he constantly got everybody grated on everybody's nerves, which I think was to the audience what made him most endearing. And
I geeked out when half these actors all ended up showing up on Dark Matter years later.
That was that was solid at how they picked it up. And I think I even saw that show and how it lended, how the chemistry was brought over from Atlantis. And
Tori Higginson was amazing as Captain Weir, and you're just like, see. I mean, Jessica Steen, I think, was the original actress, but pretty good recast, and she got into the role, and you loved how she had to endure everything. She has to get the trust of the crew. She has to basically put all the sexist guys in their place.
What I really liked really got it with Atlantis is it felt like it brought in people from like other types of viewers. My wife at the time, I was just getting her into watching sci-fi, and she had never really was into it at all. I mean, kind of like cut her teeth on Firefly, and never really got past to Star Trek for her. I guess it was too much, but it was. It's
funny you say that. I've had I used to have a coworker who we didn't really care for this person, but they were funny and were awesome when they weren't on the clock. Long story short, and she would joke how it's like I can't get into Star Wars anymore, and I never liked Star Trek, even though my folks loved it. But Stargate's the perfect in between. It reminded me of a hysterical meme I used to read, which was one of those facepalm for the faces kind of thing. Is like Star Wars or Star Trek? Stargate. Okay, perfect compromise.
Yeah, because Star Trek is such a massive franchise. It can really be intimidating if you're not a huge sci-fi fan.
Oh, and that's just it. It is kind of like the record that your parents listened to in the 70s. And if you didn't like all kinds of stuff, you're going to be like, yeah, that's too slow for me. Sorry. It's the Beatles to your Rolling Stones. Which one is faster, which one you like more. And
yeah, and the other thing I think was how the characters themselves were just sort of just generally likable versus in the context of science fiction as well. And
they evolve, they acknowledge their imperfections, and it is so funny how Richard Dean Anderson improvised everything he ever said, which is like, what?
I know that.
Okay, well there you go. And yeah, I didn't know that either, but all these podcasts.
Yeah, he interjected his own humor into it because Jack O'Neill, played by Kurt Russell, was not really Anderson's character was much more lighthearted and humorous in a way, even despite his background.
The whole it is or like take it as fun. We'll get serious just to further the plot, but we're not going to make you break a sweat either. We're just going to be plain cool. We are the roller coaster, but we're the best one in town. I love the recurring gag he does. O'Neill, 2 L's. Is like, that's and I saw other people making fun of that trivia. Is like pretty big mishap by the Army to get the wrong surname. I'm like, well, that makes sense. So maybe I'm surprised they never did a mirror universe. And
it was 1 L in the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and so that's really like joking. Is like it's clearly the same person because they acknowledge that he's distanced from his wife. His son found his gun and committed suicide. You're like, yeah, it's the same person from that alone.
I swear, O'Neill. There's going to be an investigation into this.
Well, that'd be fine. O'Neill, 2 L's.
I know those 2 brilliant flashes in the night sky a few months ago were really alien ships on their way to attack Earth. You blew them up.
I did. All right. If you're going to go ahead with it, I want to make sure you get one thing right. It's O'Neill with 2 L's. There's another Colonel O'Neill with only 1 L. He has no sense of humor at all.
I also admired how they brought back some of the guys from the movie, and it goes on the whole myth. It's like, what if the Egyptians were the ones who found all the alien gods, And so when I see oversaturated blockbuster misfires like Gods of Egypt coming out, I was like, Stargate lives on.
Yeah.
Inspires all these other infamous blockbusters.
I just think the Egyptian mythology as well as their culture just has so much lore, so much of it being mysterious. I mean,
why
look
didn't the Wishmaster of Mummy come out of the woodwork?
And it just it was. I mean, and you think about even Fifth Element, all of this.
Yes, totally got vibes from that. Like there was a total episode. I want to say season 3 or 4, where they have to win an intergalactic race. That was totally Fifth Element based.
That was season 8.
Oh well, so see, I'm the worst.
I was just listening to that one today.
Oh, that's just it too. A lot of them would make good audio dramas. I do recommend some of the books, not all of them, but there's some that are just fun reads. So Todd, how did you introduce the Stargate into your community?
Back in the day, I sort of saw the movie along with every other fan, and then started showing up on paid cable as a series, and then eventually moves to sci-fi. Everyone that I knew that liked Star Trek or Star Wars, that liked sci-fi, like Stargate. It's like the one thing everyone can agree on. That community can agree on very little.
It is kind of comfort food. Yeah. You could do it with crime shows. If you don't do SVU or Columbo, you might do Murder, She Wrote.
Right.
It's like, that's fine. That show's hysterical and well acted.
It's like, I hate Star Trek, but I like Stargate. Or I hate Star Wars, but I like Stargate. So
Stargate wins every time.
Every time.
I did try convincing some people who weren't fans of the movies. I'm like, trust me, a whole different animal. But you still, I did this with the Best Picture winner, Coda, this year, where I saw the original foreign film that inspired that award winner. I was like, okay, totally different, but perfect blueprint for this future movie that is so good, and I think that's it. I think people are just afraid to just make a little extra time, and I get it, but I still applaud them for how fast they were going. They were trying to keep up not only with TV, but have trailers that looked as epic as, say, a Lord of the Rings kind of movie that was out, just considering they had so many T-1000-ish or, board type villains, they did pretty good at distinguishing all the different ones, much like Babylon 5. We're just like, okay, that particular race, I get that one. That's the one that's trying to take over them. And it's amazing. Sometimes I've had to explain it to relatives. I'm like, okay, these guys are the bigger bully on the block this season. That's all you need to know.
Like the Boar.
Right.
This
is the Romulan to your Cancer Man. Yeah. These are your zombies to the
zombie guys.
Yeah. And
there's always that connection to other shows. The one about the race, remember on Voyager, they did the same idea where they had the galactic race. Do you remember that?
It's a good writing prompt. Is like, what's something crazy,
Drive. Well, it's called Drive.
Drive. Okay. How appropriate. But yeah, I like those episodes better because if anything, it was a little more progressive than Star Trek. It wasn't much of the, let's have a third wheel. Let's fight over, a person who's going to be a king or a queen. Let's just have them just save a colony that needs to be evacuated. And then it's like, it's a better version of the whole unsaid principles in Star Trek. It's like, let's take them to a planet that they clearly gave us the okay, not displacing them. We'll bring them back to the planet when we've defeated the enemy.
And it's a similar vibe. Another connection, I used to tell people that I was trying to get into it, that they like Star Trek, I would say, they've got kind of a Worf character. So if you like that whole thing, that whole narrative.
I mean, Tilk is an absolute Worf Spock clone. He says indeed every episode, and my sister had to remind me, it's like, yeah, but they hit every other person on Star Trek says that. But my mother really is a big fan of him, and I've been introducing him to the gamer friends of mine who are fans of him from God of War, and because he voiced Magneto in X-Men Evolution. And I'm like, see, but you got to see the role that put him on the map. Like, he is athletic, he's charismatic. I got to bring up in later seasons where they have the one Die Hard tribute episode. There's plenty of Die Hard tribute episodes, as much as there are Predator and Alien type.
You mean episode 200? That one? Stargate?
I think so. It's like, and it's so funny. It's like, one of them, I think it's either O'Neill or someone else here that they're talking to the guest star of the episode. And they're like, someone here wants to be John McClane, but Token in that episode is just so funny because he's like, everybody needs to be quiet. He just has a way of just creeping up on you, and in a good way, and just. And same thing with Amanda Tapping. She's a wonderful director, and you're just like, but she got her start here. She does serious one episode, funny the next. And they quickly got rid of any stupid storylines with her or Jack trying to date someone every other episode and say, let's just have Jack try to be less of an asshole and her try to be just rank up in the... She's going to keep getting a promotion because she's the only smart person here, And I just love, though, how they... But like you guys are saying, the campy jokes that don't work, they still lean on a bunch. There's no way anyone can speak 10 different languages, but they play into that. They're like, of course. And who else knows that? Sure. Oh, archaeologist Daniel. And
of course.
It gave
and then Sam knows every science thing ever.
Sam knows everything, even if she uses the... And again, no show is foolproof. All these guys were just doing basic internet searches and doing the first terminology that sounded cool, even if it wasn't the right term to use for psychology or medicine. But yeah, I mean, I just loved how, to make it even funnier, they would just embrace the absurd and just have fun with it. There's always a government, or there's I love how Kinsey just invades them every time, because Ronnie Cox, even though we like him when he's a good guy, when he's a bad guy, we just love to root for his comeuppance. It's like, oh, how ironic. He is O'Neill blackmails him, but he still becomes vice president. Oh boy, how's this going to work out? And then his plane gets injured in one of the movies, and we're like, oh, we hope that was fatal.
Let him die.
Please let him die.
the episode that I mentioned, 200, where they did all the tributes to the other sci-fi shows, but they were talking to someone about trying to make a movie. Do you remember that?
Movie within a movie. For those who don't know, Wormhole Extreme.
Oh, that's a different one.
Oh,
That's
a
just-
different one. Okay.
200 was the one where they were talking to a guy about making.
Oh,
different
yes,
kinds
the
of movies.
puppet episode. Yes. And
And
now
then they did
I saw
little
that one
versions of-
so many times, and without
Was that one of the
fail.
ones that? Was that one of the ones that came along when Ben Browder came along?
Yeah. When the first
it was
crew
I think
joined.
season 9,
Yeah,
9 or 10.
Yeah, you're right. Season 10, episode 6, and yeah,
And it was their 200th, and so just as a sort of tribute, love letter to the fans, they did these little sketches of each.
Yeah,
of the,
they did a Star Trek like Stargate. They did a
They did
Farscape.
Farscape,
Like,
yeah.
yep.
Right, and
Absolutely.
the Farscape was hilarious because Teal, because of course playing his character, the guy from that show, so the whole thing was hilarious. It's still my favorite Stargate episode.
Oh, and Ben Browder played the guy with the plate on his head.
Right.
And kudos to whoever did the production design. Like, just as a filmmaker, I was always loving when it's like, okay, that's a green screen, and now they're against a giant set, and they're just having a gaffing crew offset make it look like the Stargate is reflecting on them, while they're
Right.
talking, and we're not facing it, and
It's still shimmering on their face though.
yeah, it's still shimmering. It's left to our imagination, and I love how they didn't know what to call Walter, so they just gave him so many names until whatever stuck, and they're like, "That's right, we're actually gonna play on that since the fans are keeping up with it. Let's give him the longest name. He's the bald guy, with the headset, and, open up the iris, and the commander who's, unfortunately no longer with us, Don S. Davis, it's so awesome how he's beloved was playing Scully's dad on X-Files and in the Twin Peaks community, but it was cool to just have him not just be a stuck-up meathead and actually be very witty. He's like, okay, so how much time you need? Okay, I'll buy you an extra hour, I'll lock. The best I can do is lock one of the guys in the Pentagon. That's the best I can do.
Even if I lose my job, even if they fire me and I have to leave here, I will get you the hour. So does that work?
Absolutely. He had a pretty illustrious voice acting career, but it also reminded me how they would have some other awesome voice actors and Canadian guys being the Russian space crew. And I was like, see, that these guys are just awesome at that because, again, they're playing into the over-the-top nature of it. It's always just funny how they have the most unusual allies. It's like, of course, so and so is going to help you out of this because the U.S. funding sure isn't.
Let the characters do. The actors have an involvement, like as was mentioned. I think was what gave the show charm. Teal, he helped invent the lore about his own people, about Kelnoreen. Did you hear him tell that story? Kelnoreen was completely fake. That he used to go clubbing and he would fall asleep on the set the next day, and then the director would yell at him and he said, my character has suffered these huge dramas in his life and he's not sleeping, I'm meditating. And so they came up with Kelnoreen to cover that. And eventually they started using more and more candles. It gets more and more complex. They add more and more about it into the story.
They always had a clever reason when they were leaving the base and he's going in public. They're like, remember to cover your head. People are going to look at you funny.
Right.
Like Spock's ears. Like Spock's ears in every Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Oh, that 70s flashback episode, they did plenty of other time travel stuff. I didn't think the Atlantis one was as clever, but the main SG-1 one was perfect because, in those first 3 seasons, they capture O'Neill and he's being a smartass, and it's at his best. The guy keeps punching him in the face. Who are you? What have you? What are you doing here? I'm Captain Kirk. I'm Han Solo.
Yeah,
okay, fine.
That was 1969. Wouldn't they have known Captain Kirk by 1969?
You would have thought, but
Star Trek was on 1965, right?
Right, but
no, I don't think it was that early. Well, the first pilot.
Still, either way, they didn't know who it was, and they didn't believe him. So it's just an excuse for him to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
I was like, also just kudos to everybody who was coming in, especially, Lexa Doig said is like, I can't replace, Cheryl's, Dr. Frasier character. So just give me my own character, I'll play around with it. It'll be awesome to work with the hubby every day. And same thing with Claudia Blackman Browder. They're like, okay, we don't, and Joe Flanagan said this, when he was Shepard on Atlantis. It's like, okay, I'm basically O'Neill Jr., but give me a different persona. Let's not be carbon copies of each other. Let's play around with our wacky roles and have fun. And, same thing with Ronan, is like Momoa's similar, but he's not the same as, Tilk.
Right.
He could have easily been, You know?
Wasn't there an episode where they had a stare down, kind of?
Yeah,
they did a stare down, but like, man, when they started doing more crossovers, especially having O'Neill, rush underwater, and when Sam comes in later to commander the base, and when Ronan and Tilk team up for a two-parter, it was awesome. It's like, see, these worlds collide, but in the best ways. Kudos to all the writers. It wasn't like with all these other shows we mentioned where different writers' room, they all want to be left to their own devices. It's like, we're all writing for the same thing. We're bringing in other people from other shows once in a while. Like they had Hart Hansen, who later became the main showrunner on Bones, write some funny episodes. It's like they would always bring in people who were just also movie people. It's like, so I think that's why it's endured. People just love finding the Easter eggs. It's not just, and like you guys say, it's comfort food. It's like, okay, I don't have to get all the puzzle, but at least I don't feel like they're just not mindless, serious. But it's also not too dorky or
it's
cheesy.
Not too silly.
Yeah, it's just like, don't get me wrong. Like you say, when there is a bad episode, at least I'm like, okay, it sounded good on paper. It just didn't take off. But they would have there'd always be someone strapped in a psych ward episode. And all you guys have all, Stargates and Probing the Wormhole have both brought up good points on, yeah, don't think too hard about the episodes where they're trying to stop a catastrophe of the public leaking, any information. Is like, yeah, that's a little hard to swallow. It's like, surely someone knows what's going on at Area 51 equivalent,
As the show reached its end, I was really disappointed in how the Sci-Fi Channel sort of handled it. It seemed like as they moved towards shows like Eureka and other stuff that was less hard sci-fi,
they wanted it, and then they didn't, and you're like, really?
It built their whole network.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done without seasons 9 and 10. As much as I really did like Ben Browder and Claudia Black, I love Claudia Black. I think Vala was really the only thing that made seasons 9 and 10 worth watching for me. It felt fair. Like it felt like the show had run its course.
No, that's absolutely fair. I hated it when I first aired. Well, I didn't hate it, but I just was like, meh, this is kind of boring. It's just not as.
And I hated the Ori. They were just not a good one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, compared to the Wraith, the Ori were just lame.
Yeah, I have to agree there.
Fair enough. I just had fun with Julian Sand's portrayal. But I see what you mean.
He was great.
They couldn't one up the Gould, yeah.
How are you going to beat that, right? They have to put someone in there because they've beaten the big bad, right?
I had fun with Beau Bridges taking him on camping trips as Landry, but at the same time, sometimes they didn't use him all that well. I'm like, okay, well, you're just a good actor, but you didn't use him,
I think I thought the show was going to be canceled or end around 8, and it felt like it was wrapping up. And then
Anderson was on the show till the 9th season. Was that when he left?
He left after the 8th, yeah.
8th season.
Yeah, and at least I like his reasoning. It's like, yeah, I want to spend more time with my daughter. I don't want to.
Yeah.
It was disappointing they didn't let Amanda Tapping's character become the new leader. You know what I mean? Like, I thought Ben was fine. Like, I thought he was fun, and I was like, oh yeah. But like, it was just kind of disappointing. And I think honestly, like, it could have really kind of given some new life to the show in a way that maybe bringing Ben on did not.
I liked Claudia Black and Benjamin Browder in Farscape.
She was fun, right?
They played, but when they brought them to Stargate, the magic was gone between the two of them on that because they weren't letting them interact the same way.
Yeah,
it's true.
There
was no sexual tension with them.
I think she had some fun stuff with Tilk once in a while, but yeah, it kind of became discount Riker and Troy after a while. It was like, okay, they're here, but you're not letting them be the main person in charge.
Paula was fun though, right? Like she was just like chaotic energy and just like ate every scene, right? And so that was fun, right?
But like you say, it's like she had fun stuff to do, but you kind of wanted them to interact a little more.
They softened her up so much from her original. Remember her first episode when she's almost in full dominatrix mode, and then
the leather collar,
the leather collar. I mean, my goodness, right? And then they just kept softening her character up so much.
Absolutely, but kudos to them for just deciding, okay, instead of let's introduce an alien race or have the government shut you down for the millionth time, let's do symbols this time.
Right.
I will admit, I didn't like a lot of the first part of season 4 when they got over the replicators. Like they were trying to deal with them. There was a lot of just cheesy, alternate universe episodes where it was like, okay, that was better on paper, but I want to watch Stargate, not Twilight Zone this week. But it gets better later on. But people were like, oh, you didn't like season 4? I'm like, to be fair, season 3 raised the stakes so much. It just wasn't.
When does everybody think they really hit their stride? Because, season 1, they were starting with just like singular episodes, like standalone episodes.
That's a good question.
And later on, they started to build into the universe.
I get a lot of love from 5 through 7. Like, there's a lot of good stuff there, but 2 and 3 are really strong.
Yeah.
There's
I
always
think when the episode
stinker.
when Sam gets possessed by Jolinar, I think it was the second episode of season 2. For me, that was like it exploded the show open. It was also because Amanda Tapping did such a great job with it. I feel like that was the beginning of them hitting their stride.
Oh, and that was cool too. Everyone was vulnerable. There were plenty of times where they were trying to save Tilk. O'Neill has who knows how many replicator versions of him, and it was even wild how for a while they started off having Mike Shanks play up his different personas as well and get taken over, and I was like, see, that's just fun. Yeah, Jackson, don't leave him around too long. He's always gonna fall in love with someone on another planet, and then
he's gonna fall in love with a ghoul, and it's gonna be a problem, right?
Yeah,
his girlfriend's
they turn out to
gonna
be a killer cyborg.
He's like the Geordie.
He is kind of like Geordie. Yeah, everyone hates Jonas, but I think he's kind of liked for people who read the books because they and to be fair, when they brought Jackson back, they did a fun trade-off. It was like, okay, he's still part of the plot. He's gonna basically be like Jackson and ascend, become basically an angel.
It was interesting
how they were incorporating like the mythology, and even like whenever they had aliens, like the aliens when they discover the Asgardian, the Norse mythology, and they're the gray aliens.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys have any favorite gags that keep coming up?
Every time they do something MacGyver, like I think there's one scene where they're in the elevator, she's like humming the theme song or whatever. He just has like the look he gives her. Like every time they do that, there's some gag reels where like I think she's like I'm in this ice cave with MacGyver and we can't get out. Where's the shoe? Whatever it is, right?
That's
like,
a good point.
That's fun.
You were MacGyver for 10 years.
Yeah,
you can't figure this out.
That's fun. And then like I just think like Tilk's Indeed is like it's
always times
for so many things.
Well.
Like yes, right? Like so it's like it's a compliment or an affirmation or a diss or like a call to action. You know what I mean? Like it's so many
They
things.
did so many good things with their body language. Like Daniel would be scratching his head nervously while saying this is weird, while Sam would just have a shit-eating grin like, I can't believe you just said that or something else.
Right.
It's just, I love how Sergeant Seiler, who was actually both the stunt coordinator and Richard Dean Anderson's stunt double, since ever. I've been able to communicate with him on Facebook. He's had a prolific career doing everything from the new Planet of the Apes movies to being the stunt coordinator on Psych. You can probably see him as a victim every other episode on that show. But
classic. Why does this always happen to me?
Yes. And just like with Walter and Sam, they keep changing their rankings. So that's when it's like, just go with it. Of course, they're going to get a promotion because they're the only one who's not dead here on the station. It's fun seeing, what's his name? Pope from Falling Skies before he got big, before he shaved his head. Colin Cunningham. He was
Major Davis.
Yeah, again, they didn't give him enough. I mean, Roger Cross was on there before he was Curtis on 24, and he was on Dark Matter, and same deal. It's like they would always give people who even had, if they had just 2 to 5 episodes, it's like, we're going to give you something fun to do, and kudos to them also letting, even the producers and directors have gone on to have prolific careers doing second unit directing, and some of them used to just be like every TV director. They used to just be editors and cinematographers, and they've gone on to have big careers. And it's just interesting just how, again, like you say, even when they had trouble cheating the angle, they still had fun just kind of with the alien designs and giving them something fun to do. And it's even more fun how with Thor on Stargate, how one minute he's a puppet, the next minute he's CGI. That's dated from 2000s.
All of a sudden, he's a CGI character, but it worked.
There was one episode that was good, but which had terrible PlayStation graphics, and I can't for the life of me remember.
yeah.
I think it was sometime in season 4. They're evacuating from a ship, and it's like, that looks like a PlayStation cutscene. Like, that is not Sam and Jackson in the ship talking through the view screen to O'Neill and Till because they get away. But it's
Yeah, I feel
okay.
like Stargate was sort of the transition period between like real CGI,
Yeah,
and, you know, the 80s kind of.
the edge of it.
they were doing the best they could with what they had, you know. At the
Right, no, it's
time.
fine. But in all fairness, at least it tells the story. And I did
Yeah.
have fun revisiting it on Amazon. I was like, is this Blu-ray quality? Holy crap.
The CGI graphics had to have still been better than Babylon 5's.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt. Because B5
But that
would
was
like the story.
groundbreaking at the
but-
time, dude.
Right,
Like, that
At the
was
time, it was so cool.
amazing.
Absolutely.
On a TV budget, right? They're doing this all on
Yeah,
TV
by
budget.
04 when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's PlayStation graphics, but this looks cool. What is that bizarre music that's playing that's about to foreshadow a mysterious person who knows everything about the space captain? But yeah, B5's a good trendsetter because, I mean, they were kind of doing Gates kind of like this and same kind of deal. They had all these colonial kind of Marines, and then when Battlestar came along, it's like, okay, cool. So Stargate's the fun popcorn version, and, you know, Battlestar's the serious one, you know.
Battlestar's hardcore. I'm kind of rewatching a couple of episodes. We watched like one episode the other day where the Pegasus shows up, and my husband, who just unfortunately just comes in and watches it at the wrong time, right? Or, you know, whatever. He's not a sci-fi fan, you know what I mean? And so they're doing something nefarious, the Pegasus crew, and he's like, I thought these were the good guys, and I was like, babe, this
Think
show's
again.
it's super.
There's a mutiny every other episode on
Yeah.
the new Battlestar, and
Yeah,
the mutinies on this
it's-
one were fun because
It's not clear cut, you know.
oh well, I mean, I mentioned Frank Simmons earlier, but like when they bring in, you know, Colonel McBeath, and then just are like, you know what, let's just throw him onto another planet. Like that's funny. And when they had a recurring season villain, like they just had fun in general. We're gonna have you do more than just hand this up. We're just gonna have you just be a smartass, much like O'Neill. So who can be the bigger smartass in the scenario? That's how this is going to go. And has anyone ever been to any conventions or just seen any of those?
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool.
Well,
Yeah.
the three, me and Sam and Malika, our other co-host, we went to the one in Chicago. When was that? A couple of years ago?
Yeah, about that.
We were still wearing masks, so it was, I want to say maybe 2022. That was really cool. That was my second ever Stargate convention, and we got to
Very nice.
Yeah, we have a picture of the three of us with Amanda Tapping and Michael Shanks, right?
I think you did mention you saw like some of them, but I couldn't make out if like there were autographs and everything. But
Yes, we got autographs. We did the whole 9 yards.
Question for everyone. What is your, you can remember, least favorite Stargate ever? I'll go first. It's Family Ties. I just didn't like it. Thought it was just too corny. But a lot of people love that episode.
That's a good question.
Oh, Emancipation is by far my least favorite episode. It's just, I just cannot tolerate it. It's just, I just cannot stand it. The politics are so bad.
There was one where Sam was like falling in love with this one guy played by one of the DeLuise siblings. And I was just like, where's that going? And the music is just
what's his name?
soap opera.
Pete.
It wasn't. They weren't. It wasn't. It just wasn't there for them. You know what I mean?
It just felt like
it
a
was
horny episode. I'm like, I need some build up if you want me to grow attached to these sexy people. It's like, yeah, just which one will you just not show to people? Like that. I mean, every season has at least one episode I want to skip or where I'm like, I don't care for it, and it's hard for me to determine because I'm so open minded. I like to just say, you know, as long as it's not unwatchable, you know, I'm not going to skip it. So I'll answer this: the one Vegas episode of Atlantis. It's not, I think it's season 4. It's not a good season closer.
I thought that was towards the end, but
it's like towards the end, but like, and again, sorry guys, like I don't have my notes in front of me. Shepard is doing his best. Like they're making fun of cheesy cop shows. Like he's doing his best CSI, walking in slow motion with glasses on, but like it just kind of begins and then it kind of ends. So like, I think it's a cool idea, but it's just, maybe it was the time I was watching it, but I was just shaking my head saying that was really stupid. Like I was like, there's one with Danny Trejo also in Atlantis where I'm like, they accomplished like nothing. Like Jules Sate's character gets captured, then she escapes, and then you're just like, and then, oh, lo and behold, here's someone here to save you. I'm like, that would be great if I saw it on screen. Like I don't. It just was a lot. It just felt very half-assed. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be nice, but really,
we were never nice.
I know.
They any show has their episodes that just don't work, but
there's always going to be one they put it together last minute. It's just kind of bizarre because you're like, it's one of those you can have on silent and yet you're still confused. Like that's how robotic an episode is. I think the only reason I remembered it, other than Danny Trejo showing up for 1 minute and doing nothing, was Mike DePod, who later joined the cast of Universe as Varro. Like he had a guest star on that and SG-1. There was a few times where Arnold Schwarzenegger's stunt double, Peter Kent, actually showed up as a villain of the week a few times, and that was fun.
I think my least favorite Atlantis episode is the one with Richard Kind, where they go, where he like becomes this Svengali because he's like basically drugging everybody and makes all the women fall in love with him. I just can't stand that. I think it's so sexist, first of all, and it's just awful.
That's a good point.
Episodes in every series, like in Star Trek,
there's always a date rape guy. Yeah,
everyone remembers Code of Honor, right? It's embarrassing. You cannot show it to anyone if you want them to start watching Star Trek, because they will be just immediately offended. Sort of like Emancipation. If you show it to people now, it's almost offensive. Just the way it's written. It's like there's always one of these type of shows in every series.
Yeah.
Like, the writers, what are you thinking?
What are you thinking?
I laughed at the episode, but like you're saying, it's not very well written. It's kind of one of those where you're just like, okay, if Kind wasn't in this role would be much less. Like it just
he's the only redeeming quality of that.
He is hamming it up, which is what I don't even know if that's what they called for. To its credit, though, what's the most wacky like Easter egg you've seen on the show? Like, isn't it wild how in Universe they bring French Stewart in as a totally different character? It was kind of a fun kind of swan song to the original movie. Because remember, he played Ferretti in the movie. So, Third Row from the Sun. Yeah.
Everyone give their least favorite. What about your favorite?
You guys mentioned some good ones. The racing one, the puppet one,
I love the one with Dom DeLuise. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's fantastic.
Oh, Tin Man, yeah. And they call him like not Vonnegut. They call him after a
Ergo.
Yeah, is like after a famous sci-fi writer, and you're like, see that he was just having a lot of fun, and it was just so funny just seeing them fight themselves. It's like, I'm the real one. No, I am.
Yeah,
he's always over the top.
Yeah,
and apparently, Chris Judge was like so broke, like he just couldn't stop laughing that whole episode. So you see all these scenes where he like turns his face away.
Yes,
he couldn't stop laughing.
Absolutely. And I wish Alexis Cruz did some more stuff because he's a damn good actor, and he's played Skara in the movie and the original episodes, and then came back as Chlorel. But
what was the episode where Rodney gets like super smart?
Is that the one where he's trapped underwater and hallucinating and being an asshole, and then realizing I need to man up, I'm gonna die?
Is that when he's with Amanda Tapping?
This was in Atlantis. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Well, and kudos to him because like he was so bizarre in his first, SG-1 episode, and then you're like, he's an asshole, but he's smart, and then slowly but surely they have him mature and be like, okay, I need to shut up now. Like I'm overthinking this and being a dick.
Yeah, I like that they toned him down a little bit for Atlantis because he was such an asshole. It would have been
and
I
that's
thought he
terrible.
I thought he toned down during Atlantis.
That too. Yeah.
Not at first, but yes, eventually he becomes less of a sexist dick. And you're just like, okay, less. It doesn't help when most of us have been taught discretion is like outside voice, inside voice. Keep it to yourself.
Respectfully, my man is autistic. You know what I mean? Like just like the way he acts, like 100%, and it's fine, right? But he's just like he's on the spectrum, the way like his character operates.
Well, he's super smart, but he's the one who does. He's like Sheldon. Kind of from Big Bang.
That's a good comparison.
Right.
He's the geek. He's not trying to rub it in, but he's unintentionally doing so. Is like, okay, I get it. I'm just asking you to do one simple thing, and you just have to tell me you can't do that. It's not possible, and we'll try something else.
Right.
But at least he would treat the captain with respect. He just had to shut up after a while. It's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but you're showing disrespect unintentionally by not, addressing her the way you should any commander.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, much like some of the other guys, it was cool that they introduced them as, suits from the government, and then you realize, okay, they've actually grown a brain and they're going to stop being a tool now. And it is actually so funny how they introduce Rodney and then Wolseley into universe, because it was just like, okay, these characters can be dead serious now. Like, they were kind of fun and amusing, but now they're just really unpredictable. And did any of you get into universe?
The 2 seasons, it was a darker show for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't do it when it first started, but I came around on it. I'm like, I totally understand what they were going for. It's just a lot. It just was a lot to get into. And again, just sci-fi wasn't promoting it the right way. But like, how about the fact that your captain, Everett Young, he's a douchebag. And then he's finding out, I got to lead. I got to be by example. Same kind of deal. You got Dr. Rush, who is kind of a total double standards guy. Like, he knows how to break the rules the right way without getting caught. And everyone else, he's like, wait, I'm going to reprimand you. It's a lot.
He's like a serious Rodney.
He's a serious Rodney. And then you find out, oh, Lou Diamond Phillips, he's playing this unethical guy. He's cheating on the captain's wife at home. Oh, okay. He's, he's also part of a whole big scheme by the supernatural bad guys. And how about the fact that the captain has to do a mercy killing on one of his crewmen in the first episode? It's just like,
I haven't rewatched Universe. Like, I don't find it rewatchable to the same degree, but I did like it. I thought it had a lot of potential. It's kind of a shame that they pulled the plug. It felt like it was trying a little too hard to be Battlestar Galactica.
That's basically it.
100%.
It was, and just the way they film it, like, everybody's looking darker. I was like, yeah, this looks like The Dark Knight or some other big, just epic blockbuster. But yeah, it definitely had the Battlestar kind of thing. And
the scripts were much darker, much more. The tone was similar to
Brian J. Smith, who's gone on to have a big TV career, was on there. You've seen him in Sense8 and Treadstone.
And every time they were on the ship, it was always dark.
Yes, absolutely.
My thing about it is, like, it wasn't fun. You know what I mean? Like,
that's why
I kind of got into sci-fi. It's like, it's fun. I get to escape from the stuff.
That's why I hated it at first. I was like,
dark and dreary.
It seemed like everybody hated each other.
There. I don't want to watch that on TV. You know what I mean?
It's weird. Like, I loved Galactica, but this one, like, I rejected. It was just like too much. So I guess Galactica just did the war crimes and mystery and serialization better, and this one, it just kind of was just a real slow build. But see, at that time, even though we had TiVo, and DVR, we just weren't as patient. And now you could argue we're not as patient, but now when something's on streaming, we can just go on to the next episode or skip if we don't like something, It's just
right.
But like, there was some heavy stuff, someone's realizing they're pregnant, another person's realizing that, they've been taken advantage of by one of the other scientists, and then again, everyone having to play against each other.
And even rewatch that show. I mean, I've watched all of it, but I never went back and rewatched anything. As you mentioned,
I think the highlight was probably Ming-Na Wen as Camille. Like, she was an absolute badass. It's like, there's Miss ER. I mean, I'll get to some of it later. There are some highlights, but it's just one of those. It's like, if you're binging Stargate, take some time in between each show. Like, you don't have to watch Atlantis in order, and SG-1 to some point. To SG-1's pros, at least the free parters would often be like the finale. So it's like, okay, cool. Those are the only episodes you got to watch in order.
The arcs, the big long three parters. Deep Space Nine started doing that back when.
Isn't it wild? It beat it to the punch, but then they start noticing it when other shows do it on cable. It's just the nerve.
Well, I mean, Deep Space Nine had 3 years before they hit their stride, kind of like with Next Generation as well.
Yeah.
So about 97, about the time that Stargate SG-1 was starting up, is when they were starting to get into their more serialized storytelling.
Right.
Correct.
So I don't know if that was because of SG-1, but
just saying it started happening. We started seeing it on sci-fi shows. There was big pressure, evidently, from the producers not to do that, because the show's Star Trek and DS9 was syndicated, and they wanted to be able to sell it in chunks and just have it be bite-sized. One show ends right where it ends, and no arcs. So
you know what? I'm going to restate my answer. The only really bad episodes that I skip every time without a pill are the recap episodes.
Oh, yes.
It worked on Outer Limits. The creators had done that before. On those, I was like, I've seen this already. I know what's happening. I don't want to see this again. And I get why they did it. People.
But there's always a clip show, right? Every series has a clip show.
It's just
thankfully, Next Generation only did that for one time.
Yes.
Right.
It was kind of terrible.
Yes,
it was kind of terrible. Like, you just played us the clips from the first season of Riker. Like, that was what?
Yeah.
I found it watchable, but yeah, like you're saying, it's like if you're gonna do a clip show, like I'd rather it be the finale. Like, here's how far we've come, and it works better, I think, if you're doing like a action comedy or just a sitcom in general. Just show all the funny moments. That way, we can all be happy that whatever's been on the air for 7+ years. And yeah, with those, it's like it's all the senators, and it's kind of like when you're watching a detective show and you predicted everything. It's like, okay, it's not so much fun if I already know the ending and you guys are playing catch up. It's just like, and so yeah, I skip those each time, every time. That just there's no need for them.
The one clip show I like is the one with the barber, season 8. I thought that was pretty good.
The barber.
Yeah, when it turns out O'Neill and the barber had they had that mind connection, and they were seeing memories from each other's lives.
And
I thought it was
keeps
a clever
telling stories about the Gould. The barber has these visions because he's got O'Neill's.
Yeah, that was fine. I was just talking about like the early ones, like that just had the government suits. Here's what we found. Opens up a briefcase like in Pulp Fiction. I'm like, I know. I just saw that 2 episodes ago.
The one thing I liked about Stargate was the acquisition of technology as they went along. They, and they came by it naturally in a way. I mean, because you end up with starships. When did the starships start coming into the picture? In what season?
I want to say 2 and 3-ish, but I mean, it also helped that they had the Tari. I think that's what was so cool. Is like we look, we're humanoids and we got complex brain mechanisms. The Milky Way galaxy, and we were brought to planets by the Goa'uld as slaves. So it's like that was kind of cool to just have. There's all these other humans in these other galaxies. It wasn't just got to have a weird sculpted Egyptian head.
And for the most part, like all of the Earthbound starship technology was all Asgardian, right? I mean,
yeah, I think so. Their first upgrade was the fighters that they built.
Right.
They took.
Well, and that's what made me shut up about the show after a while. It's like, how awesome. Okay, we're going to suspend belief that they can find a way to get to Earth and not be seen by as many people, but they're going to find ways to build that, replicate it, and then now they got a space force. It's just so funny, because everything else is, here's your Death Star that I'm going to blow up, this season. Is like, no, we stole your technology. Now we made it better. Now we got a chance against these invading aliens.
It was one of those times that they just have to do the human exception.
We're going to take your shit and we're going to make it better.
They're just the upstarts as usual. And then suddenly they're the winningest ones, right? And it just was
absolutely
constantly.
Oh, now I got to ask you guys, who's your favorite guest star?
Dom DeLuise.
Okay, it's still Dom DeLuise. No, that's fine. That's great. I'm a huge fan of the Wayne Brady episode.
Oh yeah, that was good.
And it's so funny when people saw that on internet forums. They were quoting his Chappelle Show appearance. They're like, "See, he actually choked a bitch." Don't worry, it was Colonel McBee, so it was even funnier. It's like seeing the bad guy being put in his place by another bad guy.
I always liked it when I'd see like Marina Sirtis or
she was awesome. Yeah, Troy was in season 4, and she did a very cool expo dump too. Like they come through that gate, you're like, I know that voice. Who's talking? Oh, there's their contact they're meeting with. So I mean, and for them to have Odo from DS9 and call Meanie be like bad guys of the week on a planet, enslaving their people, is like, that was cool. It's like,
I'd forgotten about Colmini being in it.
Yeah, he had the total "do not mess with me" face. And in a later season, I know you guys aren't as big on that one. There was a cool one that had Ernie Hudson and Michael Ironside as like these peacekeepers on a planet, and I had totally misremembered it. It's like they're actually good guys in this. We're so used to seeing Ernie, be a badass cop, and Ironside, be the traitor. He's like, no, they're cool guys. Ironside got beat up, and Ernie ends up killing the bad guy at the end.
Ironside played a resistance leader in V in like 1984 or something, and he looked like he would
But other than
be
ER
the one,
and
but
Sequest, we don't often see him as a good guy.
yeah, no, exactly.
He's often the war criminal or serial killer.
And Dwight Schultz was in one, right?
Yes. Oh man,
I hate that episode too. The one where they
yeah, it's not a great one.
They get stuck in the virtual reality.
Yeah, it got very cringy. But
well, I'm less fond of the one he's in where everybody starts devolving.
Yes.
I'm talking about the Next Generation. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah,
no, I don't like that
different
one
universe.
There's two of them. Next Generation had that one that devolved.
There's a one
that had one where Janeway devolves into a lizard.
Oh my god!
Terrible.
It was okay up until that part, and then you're like, "What? What the hell? Where'd the script go?" Oh, there's a cool Atlantis episode where it's a total cuckoo's nest, like Terminator 2 kind of reference. The main characters, Tori Higginson's Commander Weir gets locked in a psych ward, and these people are in human form, and one of them's dressed up as O'Neill, and she's like, "Wait a second, how do you know? We've never even met. You're not O'Neill." And then his face starts combobulating. But yeah, if there's a bad episode, there's definitely some in season 1 where O'Neill is sleeping with every other, Egyptian princess, and you're like, please don't. That's just such a guy logic, toxic alpha male stuff. Don't do that. Just, but yeah, fortunately, I will watch any bad Stargate episode over a bad Star Trek episode. Say for Next Gen, I'll at least laugh at a bad Next Gen episode, but there's at least nothing to the point of where people are wearing barely any clothing or acting just bizarre, like some of the bad DS9 or Voyager episodes that are out there. There's fortunately nothing where you're just like, wait, what? Sometimes the alternate realities were tough to keep up with, especially when they were syndicated. And Stargate, fortunately, was like, okay, you got the gate, you got all these guys who got cool stuff, and then they're good at just the episodes where they just randomly stroll into town are always so wacky. It's like, of course, and don't you just love how there's always something weird happening at a diner?
Yes.
When Daniel ascends again and he faces off, Mel Harris from 30-something shows up in the Freds episode, and Oma's working there, and Dzunda is this other Gaul kind of guy who wants to accumulate all the powers, and just like that was just awesome. Like I didn't know.
Really well
so that's got me thinking.
Go ahead.
Daniel left the show, and then they brought in Corey Nemec. How did anybody feel about him?
Okay, I'll let you guys go.
Anyone have any thoughts about him?
I like him a lot because he wasn't playing his Parker Lewis persona. He's always been a B movie kind of guy, but he was just nutty. But I will give you guys. I mean, you guys have all brought up some good points. That unfortunately he was in some lesser episodes, but he had some other fun ones where he was at least being peacekeeper or stopping stuff from happening by Gauls, disguised terrorist groups. But yeah, I mean, there was one very Twilight Zone-esque episode where it's like they kind of went into a random abandoned town and there's all these parasites, and again, only Tilk and, Sam can fight them because they know how to, fool them into, overpowering them, but
right.
Yeah, I think Jonas was okay. I didn't really, maybe had he had more than one season, he would have fleshed out a little bit.
Warm. It just felt like a placeholder. It didn't feel like they replaced.
No, fair enough. Hey, I know the actor wishes he had gotten more to do. He enjoyed his time on the show. It was like many shows. It is kind of like the Law and Orders. They just keep going. The show must go on, and you're like, well, can you take a minute? Can you give me one more episode to readjust? Can there be a bigger transition instead of so and so is off, finding themselves, which is code for the actor has quit on, due to contract dispute. And it's like, just give me 3 more episodes to kind of warm up before I get someone new.
What was he, the Coy and Vance of the Stargate set? From Dukes of Hazzard.
It was a bit of that, yeah. It was just like, who am I here for? The characters or the cars? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to come in the middle of a show and replace a beloved character. That's a tough spot.
X-Files was a tough cookie that was well put together, but at least they would find a way to sneak in a voice cameo if someone wasn't in the episode the entire time. But yeah, there were times where it's like, did Richard Dean just ADR every scene? Because I hear him talking, but he's not on screen. It's just, there were episodes like that, and I know the reason he looks kind of so crappy in recent years is because he had an unusual steroid reaction, and he had broken his legs continually skiing, so that didn't help.
Wow.
But I know they want to bring it back, and how appropriate that Amazon bought MGM.
Yeah,
they're the king of doing.
What have we heard about any furtherance of Stargate since Amazon took it over?
They're talking. They've been talking
I keep hearing rumors, but I haven't heard anything concrete.
Yeah, it's not concrete.
It's probably going to be like a totally new thing.
I think you're right. I think Sam and O'Neill would be in the background while you would have a whole
handing
crew.
the torch over.
Right. I mean, they kind of did that with Universe. O'Neill in there was serious. He wasn't the smart ass, get your stuff together, man. And it is wild too how there were some episodes that they had to modify because everyone thought it was just the TV pilot, which was just still to Showtime, but there were some episodes which got a little violent, just where Tilk is daydreaming and you're like, this is one fever dream of a nightmare you're having.
I'm trying to remember its time on Showtime, and there's a little bit of nudity here and there, but I can't really remember them going overboard with language or anything like that.
Yeah, the most I heard was bullshit, but it was never anything above basic cable. There was never an F-bomb, but
and they went back and re-edited season or that first episode.
That
so I
is
think
such a better version. There's even more action. It's so funny. They do re-edits, so it looks like O'Neill and Tilk are blasting more people than they actually blew up. But yeah, I kid you not. I watched it side by side in college, and I was like, this is so much better. Because the first one, the first episode, I'm like, O'Neill is a dickhead, and Sam is. They're basically making her be a bimbo, which she is so not. She's a smart gal, but that first episode, it was rough. And
that dialogue is, I just can't.
They were improvising. It was too cute and so 99. And you're just like, and they recut it, and it was so cool for them to have Christopher Judge redub his characters, so he gave more exposition on the backstory. I'm like, oh, awesome! So you're catching it up for the crowd who's caught the later seasons. I will say it looks pretty good on most streaming sites, but whatever you do, never watch the versions that are on Hulu. I kid you not. I once saw an episode that had the old Sci-Fi Channel logo on it. I'm like, you went that far back into the tapes? The for free full screen was ugly. I couldn't stand it. So whenever I got to those, I think after a while, it was so funny. It's like watching Stargate in the 2010s. I not only went commercial free on Hulu, but then I went to Prime. Like, yeah, I am always watching it on Prime if it's Stargate. I'm not watching it on Hulu. Just they don't have the good versions of the tapes.
I've been thinking about buying. I own Stargate Atlantis and I own Stargate Universe.
The recut of Children of the Gods TV pilot you can find on Apple TV. And
I have a box set of all 10 seasons of Stargate. I mean, now I just watch them streaming, but I do have it of CDs.
Same. Yeah, it is one of those. Even it is the gift that keeps on giving. Even if it's a season you don't want or like there is so much trivia and other goodies in those box sets. And yeah, the Blu-rays accumulated all the special features. It was like, yeah, this is what you want.
I gotta wonder, does Amazon, because Amazon with their movies sometimes does an X-ray thing where they kind of give you some background. I wonder if they did that.
I used it a lot on my phone. I was digging it. I'm like, oh wow, that guy, the puppeteer also played this computer tech. Some fun stuff.
I wish they would put the DVD extras like in the movie, so if you buy that version from Amazon.
Yeah, it's even wilder too how one of the wrap-up movies has a totally different TV edit if you watch it on Sci-Fi Channel. Like there's more phone call chats between Daniel. So it is always just funny how there's just all these different cuts. They're minor, but they're still somewhat significant. And you're like, can I own that all? Can I and all be on physical media?
Box sets are a cool idea. That way, even if
they did a good job on the remaster. It's really, I mean, kudos to a 20-plus-year-old show, and like you guys say, it's got camp and it's got fun, but it never stops being intriguing, even if it's a lesser episode or season. You're just like, yeah, I gotta go through this, and then I'll decide what I'm gonna revisit. It's just like, it's just easier to kind of organize versus Star Trek. You got to find out the hard way if you really do like or hate it. And Stargate is like, I got a good general idea.
Stargate's easy to like.
I'll tell that to my husband. He's not.
I kind of consider it the working man's science fiction.
There you go.
You on that.
There you go. But like you guys said, there's some dents in the road. There are some ones where it's like, I want to drive around that. And that's just a big giant pothole. Don't want to revisit. But then there's other ones like, that's just hysterical. Who came up with that?
Right.
Like Willie Garson's computer tech guy. He was great in the other episodes, but the first episode they introduced him in, that was a bad episode. Like everyone starts running away from explosions. And again, like O'Neill and Sam had just dumb dialogue. It was like, what happened to the smart, arrogant people I know? You became idiots for one episode asking stuff that I could write. So I did always wonder if sometimes if it wasn't a writer that was as familiar with the character, or if they just did so much improvisation and sometimes the lamest take was still the best take. Yeah, I don't know,
Well, the WJ Writers Program rotates in, new writers.
Yeah, there was definitely a feel for that. It's like, could the producer comb that over one more time and make sure the humor's working? And hey, just omit that to, do a David E. Kelly and just rewrite those two dialogue forms and make it be your style instead of, that feels like it was written by an actual alien.
Yeah, that was written by a newbie. Clearly, that guy is new to the writer's room.
Yes.
It just feels different.
It feels different. Sam, do you have any other takes on it? Like, did you love just kind of revisiting it, or was it just kind of like, interesting?
Which one?
Just any of it. Because you guys have done great stuff on the podcast, but it's interesting how you never in your wildest dreams expected there to be a Stargate podcast.
No, definitely not. No. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Universe because I haven't finished it.
Yep.
I haven't finished Universe.
Lips are sealed, but there are tons of Stargate comics I'm trying to go through now, and some of them were brushing up on what season 3 of Universe would have looked like.
They kind of wrapped up what was happening with Universe.
Yeah, kind of like some other, kind of like Jericho and Revolution. It's like that. It just makes you wish, though, there were more Stargate comics or funny crossovers with all IDW and Avatar Press have done. Yeah, I'm, and much like the actors, it is always impressive how someone always finds Stargate. Like, it always pops up on a new streaming platform. Netflix acquired it in recent years. And again, I had some fellow friends who are like, that looks fun. Not perfect, but it's definitely better than Star Wars or Star Trek. And
I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't watch TV while I was working, but I could listen to it. So
it is
I was
funny.
listening.
You get a sense of what's going on, even if you don't have a visual.
Yeah, I listened to it while I was working, and they had like 2 episodes of Stargate Atlantis, 2 episodes of SG-1, and then there was 2 episodes of Universe that played while on Pluto.
Oh, I'm the
like
worst.
The live channel, yeah.
How did I not mention the hysterical Armageddon parody episode they do? They have to stop an asteroid from hitting, and it is just so funny how they make fun of every blockbuster that cut the blue or the red wire. And there's just something about the way Tilk and Sam do the exposition in that episode in their astronaut suits, and O'Neill does the whole, guys, this is a very bad idea. It's just, I don't know what it is about that. I just start defying endlessly. This episode shouldn't work, but it just was about time that they made fun of just every other blockbuster, you know. Yeah, Stargate's the gift that keeps on giving.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up